Good evening. I'm Attorney Mike Templo and you're watching Crossing Borders. Stay with me for the next half hour as we talk about life overseas while we link Filipino communities here and abroad. Now here in Manila, we're only 2 weeks away from a new school year. And you know what? The first day of school makes me think of how easy I had it back then. To this day, nothing beats getting my daily allowance of 20 pesos a day. But seriously, while some students are excited about hitting the books again, there are some who dread the day, more so for those who are attending school in a foreign country. Sometimes there's a language barrier, a cultural gap that seems so wide. Added to that, uneasiness at having to adjust to a new learning environment, fitting in, and just maybe even standing out. So, for students and even teachers, is it easy for Filipinos to adjust? Is being Filipino an asset or a liability? Now, here to share with us their thoughts on this is Nepomuceno. She's a teaching artist with the Bagwis collective from Chicago. She's with us via Skype. And later, we'll be joined by Larissa Concepcion, an English teacher at the United International Private School in Dubai, also joins us via Google Talk. Hi, Je. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hi, good afternoon.
What is it exactly you do in Chicago?
Well, I'm an after-school teacher program in West Humboldt Park in Chicago. I teach kindergarten to second. But as far as youth students, Filipino-American Youth College students.
Now, talk to me about Bagwis. What is this group about?
Bagwis is a collective teaching artist. We do workshop about Philippine history and Philippine society and Filipino culture in general, and we try to use popular education like music and theater in our teaching.
Now, were you also a teacher in the Philippines, or did you study teaching abroad and then you ended up there?
Actually, no. I here in '97. I was only 19 at the time. And then when I moved to Chicago, I started working with a Filipino theater collective called Pintig. And they do a lot of theater, people's theater technique in their organizing and working with Filipino-American youth, dealing with like cultural identity within the Filipino community.
Now, how important is having or instilling the Filipino heritage or Filipino identity with these kids, kindergarten to second grade?
Well, actually, the kindergarten to second grade that I teach is more of like with the Latino and African American. But my work with American youth, again, with the college level, we teach Tagalog and we teach Filipino history. It's very important to, it's the most tangible way for them to learn their history through music and theater. So we focus more on that aspect of teaching.
Now, you're teaching college level Phil-Ams, right? Are most of these second generation or third generation Phil-Ams? And are these kids, do they know a little bit about Tagalog, or they don't, or there's nothing at all with the Tagalog language?
Well, most of them, born and raised here in Chicago, meron silang idea, like they could understand, a lot of them could understand the language, but they could not speak it. And then the other half is, you know, they could understand, they try to speak it, pero sa kanila to even like, kasi wala in their families, they in their homes. So it's a combination of both. We also with the Filipino migrant youth, yung mga teenagers here already, and really different, like I guess, approach, because they're struggling struggles are different, you know. Yung sa migrant youth, it's more of like isolation and having that whole culture shock, you know, coming to America. And then dun naman sa Filipino-American, born and raised in Chicago, there's a sense of detachment from their own culture that
Right.
we try to tackle with them.
Now, do you mix the groups, or do you have a separate class for the Philams and then you have a separate class for the migrant youth?
We combine them. You know, it's a way for them using music, like especially like hip hop, and to and interact with each other. And so far, it's been really effective in our work, have both room and interact with each other.
You know, when you said hip-hop, it reminded me of this Philam group that did Tinikling with the background music is hip-hop. Is that the sort of things that you guys do with music?
Actually, like what we did with a conference that we did actually with Filipino-American students here in the Midwest, we were actually just teaching Tagalog, and we used nursery rhymes, kumbaga yung Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in Tagalog, but they mixed it up with beatboxing. So while they were beatboxing, they were learning to say the language, and they were pretty much singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in Tagalog.